Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I just got back from the range, doing a little shooting with friends and family, and I thought I'd do a video on my range bag. I have had quite a few range bag videos come up in my feed lately. I'm not sure why, and I just recently got a new range bag and sort of repacked it and repurposed some of the stuff that's in there, and I was going to show you guys what I normally carry in my range bag. And my range bag here is actually a brand new version of the one that I've had for probably at least 15 years, and I figure that that is pretty good length of time to knock a range bag around the back end of a pickup truck or out in the woods in the field and stuff. First I'm going to show you the old one. This is the old one, and this guy here is just a black range bag. You can see here the divider is kind of finally starting to fall apart. I did lose one of the pockets on the front here. I got it caught on something and I accidentally ripped it off, but the strap's still good. The side pockets that I actually use to put brass in when we're done shooting, that stuff is pretty much all still intact. But yeah, the bag is getting beat up a little bit. It definitely isn't new anymore, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to get myself a different one. And these bags are from LA Police Gear, and I actually since I've become an Amazon affiliate, I've actually found these bags on Amazon, although I purchased this bag before that. And this is what the new one looks like with everything sort of intact on this. And I'm going to show you guys what is in this bag here. I'm going to take the phone down here and flip it around and show you guys everything that's in here. So if you're interested in buying one of these bags, you can jump on my Amazon affiliate store and you can check one of these out and see if they're going to work for you for something. But they are actually the perfect size for an overnight bag too. I have used this exact same style of bag. I actually have this one here is I think OD green is what this one is, and I have a couple more that are khaki, and I have another one that I think is Ranger green, which is a little bit different color than this. They're perfect for an overnight bag. I use them like if we have to go somewhere for an appointment that's kind of an overnight drive type deal. This is perfect for a pair of jeans and a shirt, a couple pairs of socks, pair of underwear, and stuff like deodorant and whatnot. It's perfect for that overnight bag, and that's what I use these for too, because I actually have 3 of these now. I got one for a range bag, I got one for my electronic stuff, and then I got one that I use for a overnight bag. But anyway, I'm going to pull the phone down here. I'm going to zip this open, show you kind of how I got stuff laid out in here, and we'll talk about the stuff. All right, guys, this is what the range bag looks like here. The first thing I'm going to mention is my patches and my pin that I got on there. I typically don't wear any type of swag in day-to-day life. I don't wear, shooting shirts that often. I don't wear that kind of stuff that makes me stand out. The one exception is my range bag and my gun cases. I typically will put different patches and morale patches and that stuff on there because, that's kind of the fun of it. And when you're taking that stuff to the range anyway, you really don't have to worry about OBSEC. So, I'm usually against swag, but in the case of going to the range, swag it up, do what you got to do. The first thing here is shooting gloves. I always have a pair of shooting gloves of one variety or another. This is actually my good pair that I keep in my shooting bag, my range bag, and then pens and a Sharpie. I always have a pen and a Sharpie in here in case I want to mark anything, and I do have Post-it notes that I use for both targets and taking notes. And the first pocket that I have here, I have my rangefinder in it. This is just a laser rangefinder. It just helps me verify distances if we're shooting at like unknown places or something, and I want to verify what like 200 yards is or whatever. I always carry one of these with me. This is a I think a $60 Simmons that I got probably over 10 years ago. It still works really good. Then I have a little bit of cleaning stuff, not a lot though. I do have 2 bore snakes. This one right here is just the one that stays in this pouch here, and then I have this sort of like little portable one that has some molly on the back here that I actually have a small bottle of CLP in, and then I have a another boar snake in, so this could be like handed out if that, you know, ever comes along. I've always kind of kept a little extra of that stuff in here, and like I said, I like that molly on that other pouch because that can basically be stuck onto other gear. This is my tool pouch down here on the bottom. Get these gloves out of here. Well, maybe not. Maybe we'll just leave the gloves there for now. But anyway, I have some spare parts. I got a couple bags like this where I keep the most basic of spare parts that I might need. Since I mostly shoot on Glocks and ARs, I have a Glock 19 Gen 4 recoil spring, and then I have a AR firing pin and an AR bolt and cam, and then the little key or the little cotter key in there that holds all that together, and then carry some batteries. These batteries here are for the non-firearm related stuff, and I'll get to that here in a second. These are for the different electronics, electronic earmuffs, that kind of stuff that I have with me when I'm shooting. And then I have an assortment of different screwdrivers, long ones, short ones, things that can be used to pry on stuff. This right here is an AK sight adjustment tool. That is another thing that I've used quite a bit over the years. A needle nose pliers of some variety, and then Allen wrenches. I got a couple of different Allen wrench sets here, one metric, one regular. A lot of different scope mounts and stuff use these guys, so that's why I have them in there, and I've actually used them quite a bit. This right here is an AR tool. It's sort of like a multi-tool for an AR. It has a bunch of different attachments on it, things for like adjusting front sight posts and cleaning and whatnot, and I have a couple of these that actually come in pretty handy. Like I said, that's just a sort of a multi-tool specifically for an AR. And then I have some Torx Allen keys here, again, for different scope mounts and stuff that I have. And then we'll flip this guy around here, and these pouches are actually for magazines, and you can put magazines in them. I typically don't run a lot of rifle magazines in these, though. I will keep like pistol mags and stuff in, or stuff like this, large bottles of lubrication. This actually got used today out on the range when we were out there, and then I carry a handgun magazine loading tool. If I'm going out for long, you know, like a long day of shooting, I also have what they call a Podovach. I'll put a link in the description for that as well. The Podovach is for loading rifle mags. And then I got other batteries here. These are the batteries basically that are for the weapon light. That's 1, 2, 3 batteries, and then I have button batteries in there for red dots like aim points, primary arms, RMRs, that kind of stuff. And then down here I actually have some basic hearing protection. I got a couple of different rubber sets of earplugs there. One has a neck lanyard on it, and then the other one doesn't, because there's always somebody that forgets hearing protection when we go out to the range. It's pretty simple. And then if you can see down in there, I don't know if you can see it too well, but I also got a roll of Gorilla Tape. That is kind of always a go-to in my bags as well. And then inside here, I always carry a couple spare sets of safety glasses. Again, that's just like the hearing protection. They, you know, somebody always forgets that stuff, so I always want to have plenty. And then these are my two Post-it notes. These can be used for taking notes and for highlighting targets. Highlighting, you know, I'll put up a silhouette, and I'll maybe add one of these to give a specific aiming point. Really like those. I will carry a tourniquet, and it's not for the reason that you think. I mean, my IFAK is never very far from my pickup truck. I carry a pretty extensive IFAK in my truck, and where we shoot is never more than a few steps away from where my truck's setting, whether it's you know, ranges that we belong to around here or other you know, private property that we shoot. I keep this around for basically practice. This is a knockoff Chinese tourniquet that costs about maybe 10 bucks, and I will use these strictly for practice. We will incorporate putting on tourniquets along with our shooting drills, and then we keep the good cat tourniquets and the rhino tourniquets for our actual gear, and we use these cheap knockoffs for practice. And then, you know, our actual IFAKs are either on our kits or in the vehicle. And then I carry a bunch of different targets, and I also have staple gun and staplers. I recently replaced an arrow that I had with this a little bit lighter, a little bit more modern Craftsman one, because the other one just basically didn't work much anymore. And then I have stacks of silhouettes that I keep in here, silhouette targets of different sizes and different contrasts. And these green targets here are kind of my main go-tos. I always keep a couple packages of these. I get pretty good results with these. So these are what I use. These are what they call a modified B27 target, which means they're slightly smaller than a regular silhouette. They are maybe 2/3 the size of a regular silhouette. And when you put these out at a couple hundred yards, you really have to practice the fundamentals to make sure that your accuracy is up to snuff. And then I will typically also have a few of these guys in my pack as well. So like if we're zeroing in something, we have our squares on here where we can adjust our scope reticles, that kind of stuff. And then on this side here is where I always would keep boxed ammunition, boxed magazines, that kind of thing for whatever we're using. And then my good earmuffs are in here as well. These are the earmuffs that I use with push to talk with my radios and stuff too, but I will typically strip one of these off to take along, because I do like these for just longer range sessions and whatnot. It amplifies sound, but then it cuts out the sound as well. Anyway, I'll pack all this stuff back in here and give you guys a little bit of a wrap up. All right, guys, that is my range bag, and they've been working good for me for years. And like I said, I showed you that old one there, give you an idea, you know, of the abuse that they can take over, you know, a decade or so. But I'll put a link in the description if you guys would be interested in picking one of these up off of my Amazon store. They work great for range bags. Plus, they also work good for regular overnight bags. But anyway, I just thought I'd show this to you guys here today because I was out shooting anyway. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys always get some information, some entertainment out of my videos, and you guys have a good one.